Hello, everybody. It's Joe from Prep Agent. I hope you're having a good day. Tell me if my audio sounds good. I hope it does. Hello. Does it sound amazing? Because we're about to get started. And boy, am I excited. So excited. So excited. Today we're doing appraisal, also known as valuation and market analysis, which is going to be great. So who knows the answer to the question on the board? The most comprehensive and complete appraisal report is the A, letter form report, B, narrative report, C, oral form report, or D, certificate report. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? And the answer is B, narrative. Narrative is the most comprehensive appraisal report. Most comprehensive, excuse me. Good job. Way to get this started right. Somebody asked me how the podcast is going. So just a little quick housekeeping for you guys. So not only do we want to help you guys pass the real estate exam, but I want to help you guys have a career after you pass. So what I've started to do is interview some big players in the industry. Because as my channel grows, I have more opportunity to attract bigger names in the business. And I want to utilize that to help you guys. So I'm going to do some interviews, post them on YouTube, totally free. Do not worry about it. Don't have to pay. So that's where that's going. Tomorrow, my interview is with James Harris. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's from $1 Million Listing Los Angeles, and he's a pretty interesting guy. He's nothing like what is shown on the show. He does door knocking. He grinds it out. He does everything he needs to do. I guess he's something like who's on the show. He is on the show, but he does a lot of business, and he grinds just as much as everybody else does, and he's very successful. So tomorrow, if you guys like $1 Million Listing, that show, then you'll be interested in my interview tomorrow. So that's how the podcast is going. So with that being said, let's get to the topic at hand, evaluation and market analysis. So who here could tell me the 4 essential elements of value? What are the 4 essential elements of value? What do you guys think? The 4 essential elements of value. Okay, so we're talking about the 4 essential elements of value. We are talking about stud. Exactly, stud. Some of you guys remember dust. Some of you guys remember stud. You can remember Tizida. Whatever you guys want. As long as you remember the 4 essential elements of value. And demand. Good job, everybody. Demand, utility, scarcity, transferability would be dust, whatever works for you. That is the most important thing of this section, to know those 4 essential elements of value. Congratulations, Jonetta Bradley, on passing her real estate exam. Good job. If your screen is blurry, make sure you change the settings to 720 HD. Change your settings to 720 HD. Okay, so let's do the next question on the board. The appraised value of residence with 4 bedrooms and 1 bathroom would probably be reduced because of A, functional obsolescence, B, external obsolescence, C, curable physical deterioration, or D, incurable physical deterioration. What do you guys think? And the answer is functional obsolescence. Okay, so functional obsolescence is a type of depreciation. I would like you guys in the chat to define for me what depreciation is. Define for me what that word depreciation means to you. What does depreciation mean? Depreciation is defined as a loss in value from any cause. A loss in value from any cause. Good job, everybody. A loss in value from any cause. There's 3 types of depreciation you have to know in order to pass your real estate exam. What are they? There's 3 types of depreciation you have to know in order to pass your real estate exam. Who could tell me what they are? So you have, a lot of you guys are writing economic, functional, and physical. Economic, functional, and physical. Which one of those 3 is not a form of obsolescence? Which one of those 3 is not a form of obsolescence? Which one of those 3 is not a form of obsolescence? Physical deterioration, good. So it's functional obsolescence, economic obsolescence, which is also known as external obsolescence, as you see on the board, and physical deterioration. Everybody got it? Right? I got it, Joe. Everybody write it, right? I got it, Joe. So functional obsolescence, economic obsolescence, and physical deterioration. So you have functional obsolescence, physical deterioration, economic obsolescence. I would like you guys to give me an example of economic obsolescence. Give me an example of economic obsolescence. Who could do that? Give me an example of economic obsolescence. A pig farm. That's the first time I heard that example, and that's a good example. Unless you like own the pig farm. But if a pig farm's next to you, I could see how that would be economic obsolescence. I've been doing this for a while. I've not heard the pig farm example before. Typically we hear what? Gas stations, airport noise. Does every single textbook give the example of an airport? I feel like everybody always uses the example of an airport. Is that in all your textbooks, airport noise? Okay, dumpster, neighborhood, crime, things of that nature. Okay, so there are things that are outside the property lines. That's economic obsolescence, extraneous to the property lines. Give me an example of functional obsolescence. Give me an example of functional obsolescence. Give you a hint. There's one example on the board. Functional obsolescence would be anything resulting from a poor design. 5-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. Or if there's like no parking. Or if you have like a toilet built in the kitchen. Functional obsolescence. Basically, it's just poor design. It's not outdated. It's just poorly designed. Well, I guess outdated could be. Let me rephrase that. It's not necessarily old. It's just poorly designed. If it's old and breaking down, that would be physical deterioration. So I'd like you guys to give me an example of physical deterioration. Give me an example of physical deterioration. Give me an example of physical deterioration. So the patio with a hole in it. My dad had this patio on this building he had. He had an office building. And he had this patio. I never forgot. There was this hole in the patio. You know what he said? Put a piece of wood over it. We're like, okay. Then the hole got bigger. So you know what he did? Put another piece of wood over it. And it got bigger. 4 pieces of wood. Then we said, Dad, you can't put all this wood on it. This is ridiculous. The hole's getting bigger. It's physically deteriorating. You got to do something. And he said, you know what? You're right. So what he did? Put a carpet over the wood. And we were like, oh boy, this is a problem. Before you knew it, Grandma fell through the patio and it was such drama. Still not sure if he was happy about that or not. My dad and his mother-in-law's relationship was never totally awesome. Sneaky guy. One of these days I'm going to get the truth from him about that. Oh, Grandma. Luckily, she was an athletic lady. Okay, so moving along. So it's a good example of wear and tear, physical deterioration. Stevie Nelson, sorry for being late. Boy, did you miss out. We gave out all the answers. I was just like, A is 1. Number 2 is B. 3 is C. But nobody tells Stevie because he's late. Okay, moving right along. So we have physical deterioration, functional obsolescence, economic obsolescence are the 4 types of depreciation. Excuse me, 3 types of depreciation. By the way, if you guys don't know, the highlighted words are there. So if you click on it, the definition comes up. How many of you guys didn't know that? They're like, wow, that's incredible. If you didn't know, when you click on a highlighted word, that makes the definition come up. Little study gadget that Arthur built in. Okay, a state-certified appraiser is conducting an appraisal of a library building surrounded by several acres of land belonging to the property. In determining the value of the land itself, the appraiser will most likely use the A, cost approach, B, income approach, C, reproduction costs, or D, sales comparison approach. And the answer here is sales comparison approach. This is a tricky one. A lot of you guys got tricked. You know why? So pay attention, everybody. Okay, everybody pay attention because you got tricked. A lot of you immediately went to cost approach because it was asking, you saw the word library. Everybody see that? You got to be careful. They saw the word library. But what is this question asking about? The value of the land itself. How many of you guys are like, oh, I got tricked? That's a good question. I like that one. It kind of demonstrates the point you need to read, talks about the different approaches. That's a really good question. So I hope you guys take note of this. But everybody got it? Who's like, oh, I got it? All right, how many of you guys are guilty of that? You just saw library and you're like, cost approach. Okay, but when you see the questions asked about the value of the land, that's different. So let's talk about that. Why, when you guys saw library, you saw cost approach? The reason is because you guys were thinking of special purpose properties. Give me an example of a special purpose property. Give me an example of a special purpose property. So special purpose properties, other examples would be like the post office, the school, the police station, things of that nature. Things that have no comparables, so you can't do comps, and do not bring in income, so you can't do the capitalization income approach. Okay, those are special purpose properties. So when you look at a special purpose property, you're looking at how much would it cost to replace it brand new. How much would it cost to replace it brand new? Aseneth is asking about the suitcase. I don't use the suitcase analogy, but Cynthia does. So definitely watch her webinars. Cynthia's amazing. And she uses the suitcase analogy a lot. So if you like that suitcase analogy, check out her webinars. She does them on Mondays and Tuesdays. Okay, so how much would it cost to replace it brand new? What's the problem with doing the cost replacement approach? What's the problem with doing the cost replacement approach? What's the problem with doing the cost replacement approach? The problem is they are not brand new. Those things are old. So you got to factor in depreciation. Jordan Ashley's wrote in all capitals, how do I view Cynthia's webinar? You don't have to yell at me, Jordan. Wrote in all capitals. How many of you guys, when somebody texts you or writes you in capitals, you're like, hey, relax. Ugh, calm down a little. Get off the caffeine. You feel like they're yelling at you when all they did is have it on caps lock? I'm a human. I got feelings. If you're a premium member, you have access to all 5 webinars during the week. And there you can see Cynthia's on Mondays and Tuesdays. Some of hers are in public on YouTube, but generally speaking, if you want to see her webinars, you just be a Prep Agent member, and you could see her on Monday and Tuesday. Okay, so the problem with the cost replacement approach is that you have to factor in depreciation, and that is very difficult, especially if some of these buildings are super old. What is the problem with doing the comparison approach? What's the problem with doing the sales comparison approach? What's the problem with doing the sales comparison approach? Well, the sales comparison approach depends on the fact you have something to compare it to. And if nothing is sold in the past 6 months, then you have nothing to compare it to. Right, guys? Or if there's a drastic economic change, or if you're in an area where just no houses are nearby, or the property is extremely unique, that can make it extremely tricky. And last but not least, the capitalization income approach. The capitalization income approach turns income into value. Turns income into value. Everybody write that down. Turns income into value. It looks at how much income's coming into the property and uses that to put a value on the property, because if a property brings in $1,000 a month versus a property brings in $100,000 a month, you're going to pay more for the one that brings in $100,000. Regardless of how big it is, where it is, or some of those other features you technically or typically look at. You're just looking at the numbers. How much more is a little tricky, and that's when this approach comes in. So it's a very detailed approach to determine the value based upon income coming in. Good job, everybody. How we all doing? We're learning. We're doing good. Ooh, got these new glasses. They say your glasses should be aligned with your eyebrows and not go lower, and I got these glasses that are lower than my eyebrows, and now I know why. Because I always look surprised because my eyebrows are high above my glasses. I always look like shocked and surprised. Like I'm like, what? So a little note for you guys buying glasses. Make sure they're close to your eyebrows and not far below them. Otherwise, you'll always look shocked and surprised at everything you see. Okay, right back at you, Jennifer. Okay, let's look at the next question. When the supply decreases while demand remains the same, A, price tend to drop, B, demand tends to drop, C, price tend to rise, or D, demand tends to rise. Good job. Price tend to rise. Yeah, I saw my friend the other day. He's like, hey, why are you so surprised to see me? I'm like, I'm not. Just got these new glasses. He's like, what? What? Exactly. I know. It's like, well, you look surprised. Okay, moving right along. The owners of the smaller model of a house in the neighborhood with larger homes may find the values of their homes are affected by what principle? A, competition, B, progression, C, regression, or D, increasing returns. And the answer is progression. So you have the principle of progression and regression. What is the principle of progression? What do you guys think? What is the principle of progression? So the principle of progression states that if you get a property that is near much nicer properties, the value will go up. Generally speaking, when you're buying real estate for monetary gain, not just like because you want to live there, but if you're just looking at numbers and resale value and all that good stuff, you want to find the cheapest property in an expensive neighborhood because the value will get pulled up. Regression says if you get a super nice house in a bad neighborhood, the value will get pulled down. That's the principle of regression. Everybody got that? If you're living there, this doesn't really matter. Living there, you want to get the nicest place for the least amount of money because you can enjoy it with your family. But if you're just talking about numbers and resale value, you want to get the cheapest property in a super nice area. But that means you're going to have a tiny little house compared to your neighbors. But I said that's why if you're living there, you don't really look at that as much. Moving right along. Somebody asked me about tutoring. I do not do tutoring, but Cynthia and Stu do, and they're amazing at it. So if you go to the Prep Agent page and check out tutoring, you could hire them, and they'll be happy to help you. You don't want me tutoring you. I'll be wearing my glasses, and I'll look surprised every time you ask a question, and then it'll just create a weird vibe. Okay, which of the following would be an example of economic obsolescence? A, an old heating system. B, leaky roof. C, out-of-date design for the rooms. Or D, oversupply of like properties. We went over this before, so I hope you guys get it right. And boom, looks like you're all getting it right. Great job, everybody. Which of the following principles states that a person will pay more for one property than he or she would for another that is equally desirable? A, the principle of substitution. B, the principle of laissez-faire. Ooh, that sounds fancy. C, the principle of fair distribution. Or D, the principle of conformity. And the answer is A, the principle of substitution. Good. You guys know any Latin? I'd like you guys in the chat to write any Latin that you learned when studying for the real estate exam. Any Latin that you learned when studying for the real estate exam. Latin is more part of our lives than you guys realize. People think Latin's just that language you don't use that like the geeky kids in the fancy private schools take, but it's actually not. It's actually very applicable. For example, did you guys know vice versa? We all know that word when you say vice versa. That's literally Latin. It's a Latin word. So it comes up, and certainly comes up for our real estate exam. I see some of you guys writing ad valorem, lease pendants, nova, pure otro v. These are all Latin words you need to know. So let's talk about them for a second. We're talking about appraisal. So what does ad valorem mean? What is ad valorem? Who could tell me what ad valorem is? Ad valorem is thank you for that nice note, Amanda Lynn. You're the best. Ad valorem is according to value. Good, according to value. This is what is used for taxes. Everybody got it? So ad valorem is usually your taxes when you pay property taxes. Property taxes, which are a specific lien or general lien. What do you guys think? A specific lien or general lien? Are property taxes a specific lien or general lien? They would be a specific lien. Income tax is a general lien. So be careful on that, all right, everybody? Property taxes, specific lien, income tax would be a general lien. Good. Other Latin, nova is Latin for new. Caveat emptor is buyer beware. Per otro vi is for the life of another. Okay, so there's some good Latin that we learn when studying for our real estate exam. Okay, let's get back to the matter at hand of valuation and market analysis. Hopefully we all get this question right. We talked about this at great length earlier in the webinar. The appraisal approach most likely to be used in valuing a public library building would be A, the market data approach, C, the income approach, D, the residual comparison approach, or D, the cost approach. If you guys get this wrong, I'm going to cry. Don't make me cry, don't make me sad, don't make me blue. You know that, darling, I'm so in love with you. I'd hate to see you go because I love you so. Don't make me cry, don't make me blue. Sorry. You guys know I can't do a webinar once without singing, just like John Travolta can't do a movie without dancing. You just are who you are and let your inner light shine. Okay, so that's the cost approach, right, guys? A suburban home that lacks indoor plumbing suffers from A, functional obsolescence, B, incurable physical deterioration, C, external obsolescence, or D, curable physical deterioration. And the answer is A, functional obsolescence. Good. Went over that earlier. Relax, I'm wearing a mask. You don't need to go all Matrix Ninja on me and start trying to escape my breath. Like when you're in the elevator and somebody sneezes and all of a sudden you go all Spider-Man and plaster yourself to the roof. How many guys, when I coughed, even though you know you're behind a computer, were like, hey, cover your mouth, man. Got children. Okay, next one. A meets and bounds legal description. A, can be only in areas excluding from the rectangular survey system. B, use a description moving in a clockwise direction. C, is used to complete areas omitted from recorded subdivision plats. Or D, is not acceptable in court in most jurisdictions. And the answer is B, use a description moving in a clockwise direction. Basically, you find a fixed point of beginning, like a tree or a lake or a rock, and you find it in relation to that. Obviously, this is used when you don't have addresses. It's just for empty land. So that's what this is all about. It is necessary to calculate a dollar value for depreciation when using which of the following? A, gross rent multipliers, B, cost approach to value, C, the income approach to value, or D, the sales comparison approach to value. And the answer is the cost approach. Remember I said the problem with the cost approach is depreciation? Do you remember that, guys? Because I talked about that special purpose property like a library, and it's how much it costs to replace it brand new. But the problem is it's not brand new, so you got to factor in depreciation. A homeowner acquired the ownership of land that was deposited by a river running through a property by A, succession, B, avulsion, C, reliction, or D, accretion. And the answer is accretion. Accretion means the addition to a parcel of land by sand or soil. Which one would be if they talk about a dam breaking and water tearing through and ripping up the land? Which one would that be? If they said a dam broke and water came tearing through. Ooh, when I say water, my accent comes out. My accent doesn't come out much, but that's one of those words where it comes out. So that would be avulsion. Avulsion. You're preparing a comparative market analysis on vacant lot that you hope lists for sale. Which of the following approaches to value should be used in the development of the estimated value? A, gross rent multiplier, B, cost approach, C, sales comparison approach, or D, income approach. And the answer is C, sales comparison approach. If you guys enjoyed this webinar, I'd really appreciate it if you click the thumbs up button down below, as it just gives me a positive reinforcement, makes me feel good. I always love a little positive feedback. So if you did enjoy it, only if you enjoyed and you felt like you got something out of it, please click that thumbs up button and it would make me smile. Thank you so much. With that being said, I want to talk about your study plan before we go. You guys need to memorize 5 words every morning. Any 5 words you want. Just make sure they're 5 words related to your real estate exam. In the morning, because your mind is fresh and you get out of the way. So if your day gets away from you, you know you got those 5 words down. You guys got it? Make sure 5 words every morning. It's not a lot, but it's something, so you know something's accomplished every day. The key to this whole thing is consistency, not cramming the day before. And we all know we got busy days, we got work, kids, whatever it is. So 5 words every morning. Set those 5 words aside at night before you go to bed. Wake up, memorize them, and you accomplish something for the day. Hopefully you have time to sit through a webinar. A webinar is good to give you guys a general understanding of everything. Cynthia, Stu, and I go on these webinars to explain things and review things, but it can't be the only thing you do. Because this is more of a general thing to kind of explain stuff. But when it's complemented by those vocabulary words you learn in the morning and doing questions in the day, you have a complete study plan. And obviously when you do the questions, I'd like to see you guys take on the ones that are easy, master those, and then move on to things that are harder. And please only do a small amount of questions at a time. 10, 20 questions. Don't just click through like hundreds of questions and expect it to make a difference. It won't. You got to learn a portion, understand that portion, and then move on to something else. Everybody got it? In the prep agent program, we have it set so you could do 10 questions at a time, 20, whatever it is that you like. But don't try and do all the questions at once. Master a portion of questions, and then when they're mastered, move on to something else. Everybody got it? That, along with using vocabulary worksheets or whatever else works for you, with his videos will give you a complete study plan. All three of those things provide a different way to learn, which is all important. In the morning, you do the vocabulary. You attend a webinar to get a more general understanding. We don't go over a lot of specifics in the webinar. Obviously, we try and give people an opportunity to put things into context. And then that's complemented by doing questions. And if you do that every day, you will pass and have a successful real estate career. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. Adios, adios, a classy termino. Adios, adios, a classy termino.